All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Sounds on the Couch. I'm really excited about our interview today. I've got James Balthes as a part of Poison Oak. Poison Oak are a Queensland-based band with a sound described as melancholic and uplifting Australian rock and roll. They write storytelling lyrical songs about the common misgivings of life. Today, I'll be interviewing the songwriter for the band, James Balthes, who has much experience touring and songwriting for a variety of bands and has a distinctive love of writing metaphorical storytelling music. And it draws upon the emotions of his own experiences that relates to the common person. So I think it's going to be a really interesting interview, and I'll bring him up now so that we can start chatting. Hi, James.
Hey Karen, how you going?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries.
All right, so we'll just jump in. Would you like to maybe tell us a little bit about your background and what it was that got you personally into music?
I guess I started playing music when in high school, really. I guess most people usually play music in high school. And I played in a lot of bands in high school. And then I went to Brisbane and played in quite a few bands in Brisbane. There was probably two main ones that I played in. And then while I was studying, then obviously I played another band originally called Jeremy Hunter and the Preacher Men. People probably know there was a remnants of a band called Inland Sea, which was pretty well known in Australia, and this sort of different bunch of people from a different bunch of bands. We all sort of came together, and then we had quite a few releases and played a few tours. And I guess at the end of that, I was kind of burnt out from music, so I went into teaching, and I've been teaching now for 6 years. But now I'm playing music again in a band called Poison Oak, which seems to be going pretty well at the moment. Even though we initially started playing with no expectations. It was just a bunch of mates. After doing some exercise in the morning, would come and jam at my place. And I think it all kicked off when we released one song. And then before it was even really released, we started getting emails from labels and PR companies. And we're like, oh, maybe we should actually take this a little bit seriously. So I guess that's where we're at in the moment. Yeah.
Fantastic. I've got a question about what made you decide to release that first track? I mean, you said it was quite a casual kind of setup. What made you decide to take
I guess I went through, I guess, a breakup. So I started writing lots of music in relation to that. And I also had a lot of other music over the years that I've always written, but I had no reason to release it. I just had it there because I always liked writing music. And then I invited, two of my other friends who also play music, but we never played together. We decided just for a Sunday afternoon just to come together and start just jamming out some of these songs. And we thought, oh, these actually sound pretty cool. Like, they sound pretty good. And it was also a way for me as a music teacher to practice my piano playing as well, because I could play quite a few other instruments, but I needed to get better at piano playing. So, and I like the piano because it has more melodies. There's like more different intricate melodies you can play with a song. So, and then we decided like, oh, maybe we started to really enjoy it. So we decided to get a drummer, and we started rehearsing at the school with the drummer. And then we thought this sounded pretty good. So there's a guy in Townsville called Biani. He used to play for the Divinals, and he's part of the Music Teachers Network, which I'm the coordinator for the North Queensland music teachers. So I knew Biani there. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, do you think we can record some music with you? Because we've started to get some music together sounding pretty decent, I guess. But obviously he just does that for students. So he said, no, but I know this other bloke in Townsville. So we got his number. And then we went over there and started recording some tracks. His name's Joel Sutton. He's actually a really good rhythm and blues player. He's just released his album a couple of months ago. And then I guess everyone along the way sort of kept us motivated. Like when he heard the songs, he's like, oh, this is actually pretty good, mate. Like you should put some more out. So we decided to actually record these 3 songs, and we got them mastered. And then I started calling up all my old friends from all my bands I used to play, and to try and work out how to release it again, because obviously I think about 6 years had passed when I was actually quite in the music industry, so things had kind of changed with releasing things. So I got some tips from them, and I was sort of stuffing around with things and sort of just put up on Triple J Unearthed. And then that's when the emails started coming in. It's like, hey, like, we like your music, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, who are you? Like, who's this person? Like, how'd you hear my music? And then so there was a record label and also another record label and PR company who were interested in the music. So once they hit us up, I called the other guys in the band and was like, hey, what do you guys reckon? Should we take this a bit more seriously? And then ever since then, we started releasing more music, and I guess more things have started happening. Like, we've been shortlisted for the Australian songwriting competition down in Sydney, which is pretty cool. So all these things, I guess, motivate us to keep us going, and we're starting to get emails from different people overseas wanting to record us, which is not feasible because we're all working towns. Well, I don't think we ever go overseas, but I guess in the long run, came from a position where we weren't really, we were just more doing it as a creative outlet. As all these little extra bonuses have definitely pushed us to where we are now.
Yeah, and I guess there's so much that's opened up as well in that kind of respect. With COVID, like, we've been able to access people in different areas that we wouldn't have been able to access previously through streaming and through chats like what we're doing now online. Have you found that that's affected you and your band much? Have you been able to access people that you may not have thought of accessing before?
Definitely. I think, I know a lot of people out there playing music have found it quite detrimental, but we found it very beneficial because we all work full-time jobs, and so our free time's already pretty limited. So this COVID's given us the time to really get ourselves together, get probably 12 tracks. We've got 5 released, one coming out in a week's time. Then we got another 5 coming out pretty soon after that. And it's given us time to get all this stuff together before we even really play a live show. So really establish ourselves. So, and it's also been good that we've had no pressure of gigs to really nut out all the different material, and which is good for us. But I guess other people who perhaps rely on music as their main income might find it detrimental. But I guess on another topic, I think working full time and experiencing life also adds added material to write songs. So you always have that sort of life experience to add more. Because now I look at myself as a songwriter. Now I feel my lyrics are a lot more meaningful to when I was, 19, when I was just writing about things that I hadn't experienced. It's quite superficial to where I am now, where I've experienced a lot more stuff, so I have a lot more to write about, I guess. Yeah,
and I think that's a really interesting point as well that you've brought up, that, that life experience does sort of create that opportunity to write deeper songs. Would you like to maybe just give us a little bit of an idea about your creative process when you're writing songs?
It really depends. Like, obviously, I guess different topics. Like when I first started Poisoning, a lot of it was based on a bad outcome in a relationship, and that really made me write a lot of music as a way to sort of deal with that. I guess it was a therapeutic way. And then for me to get those ideas out, the guys in the band helped me write tracks. And then, like, obviously, as time's passed, sometimes I just come up with I'll just play and I'll have a little musical idea. I'm like, oh, this is good. I keep playing it. And then sometimes I'll just have a lyrical idea or a topic. Even like working for the government, I get a lot of inspiration that now, like, I guess, particular issues you see. Obviously, our politicians have a lot of influence in our job, so you get to see perhaps some things which you don't think is necessarily morally right. So then that's also inspiration for writing now. So I guess like the earlier stuff I've written is quite relationship based, but now it's more also like to touch on the working, like take a bit of pride that we're kind of a working class band. Like we like to hopefully write lyrics that other people can relate to that are in similar jobs or in the workforce like us. I guess, and also like one of the songs I've written recently, I've just called The Weekend, that sort of feeling of when you finish work and that just the idea of going into the weekend and that feeling, I guess, which is quite simple in itself. It's not as quite as deep as some of the other material, but I guess when you're, I guess, working full time, you really look forward to the weekend, like on Friday, and then when it comes Sunday, that down period, you have to go back to work again, and it's sort of the song sort of encompasses that up, and then that down, and I'm trying to make the music fit that sort of that emotion, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you get lots of experience being a music teacher as well. There'd be lots of stories and inspiration out of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. There's I guess when you're a teacher, you get to see the whole spectrum of society. The school I work at is it's quite a multicultural school. There's a lot of students who are African refugees. There's a big Indigenous population. It's like 20% Indigenous. So coming from Brisbane, where I didn't really see any of these things, to now Townsville, where it's like it feels like you've been thrown on the front line of life. You know, you get to know all their families, you get to know, all the great things, but you also have to see all the negative things. You see everything because you've got every type of person in society there. So I guess that's a lot of that really opens up your eyes a lot. Yeah.
Oh, it definitely would. Now, I think we'll jump into your release. So you've recently released your single Waiting. What was it that inspired you to write that track?
I think actually when I just came home one day on a Friday and I was just sitting around because I've just got my piano and all my instruments, and I was sitting around just playing around with chords. I was trying to work out how different. So the tonic note, if you know anything about, you know what the tonic note is, or yeah. So I was experimenting with the tonic note being different tonic notes played over the same chord, and I was just using the chord of A. So I was trying to work out if I could make, I guess, the chords sound more interesting rather than just playing simple chords with changing the tonic note the whole time. And then that's how it came up with the first little chord. And then I just started humming the melody. And as soon as I hummed the melody, I was like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the song right there. And then I just decided it's quite simple actually. It's just about I guess someone who kind of lets you down, but it's also inspirational. Like you're really looking forward to seeing someone, but there's always a reason why it cannot happen. And that's what is the premise of the song. But I guess I came up with the melody definitely first. And when I first wrote it, I took it to the band. And when I first wrote it, I thought, oh, this is a really catchy sort of pop song. So I took it to the band. The band were like, oh yeah, it's all right. Like, and I was like, yeah, it's not like some of our other stuff's a bit more intricate. And I was like, yeah. And we worked on it, but we sort of pushed it to the side. And then when we were recording the EP, we were going to leave it off because I guess to play it is quite simple and fun.
Yeah.
But we decided to add on to the EP anyway, so it's going to be a 6-song EP. And then when the label asked us, so I showed them the guys at the label the tracks, all the 6 tracks. Well, I showed them the 5 first. I left that song off, and I was like, oh, and they're like, okay, yep, these are pretty good. We think these ones should be the single. I was like, oh yeah, we think these ones. There's always, I guess, a difference because as a musician, you sort of look at the ones that you like to play the most rather than potentially what grabs someone's attention. And then I was like, oh, hang on, we've got this one other song. We'll put that on. And they were like, yep, that's it. That's the single right there. So, which is always interesting to see because, like, I guess their opinion is completely different to what we see the song. So, yeah.
But I guess you've also got so much meaning and experience behind that. So them seeing with it a fresh eye, or a fresh ear, is very, very different, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You can sort of see where they're coming from. I guess when you write a song, you get a bit too close to it. And once you've played it 40,000 times, you might think it's really good, and then you think it's really bad, and then you stop listening to it and stop playing it, and then you play it again, like, oh, this is actually a really good song, and then you play it another 30 times, oh no, it's really bad, I've had enough of this song. Yeah.
The ups and downs of life.
yeah. So.
All right. So this track's a little teaser, I guess, for, as you've mentioned, your EP that's coming out. So 1996.
Yep.
Would you be able to give us a little bit more insight into what's to come with the EP?
EP's quite, so this song, I guess you'd call it a pop rock song. I guess maybe indie rock. There's a bit of punk in there as well. I'm not sure why all our songs sort of have this punk sort of, it's really weird. Like I'm never sorted out to write punk music, but I guess it's because my old roommate used to listen to a lot of punk and metal music. And I think what happens psychologically is that sort of becomes in your head and you start playing it, like you start subconsciously playing it. So anyway, and this is the first sort of, and the other songs, there's 5 other tracks. There's the title track, 1996. There's the next single, which is going to be called Sarah, which is a bit more, people say it's got a bit of a British invasion sort of vibe to it. It's very sort of Beatles mixed with, I guess, Oasis sort of sound. And then there's Some People Tell Lies, which is like a pretty epic piano ballad. So there's quite a big difference. So I was kind of worried that there might have been too much variation because a lot of bands sort of stick to like a one sound. Like there's, say, if you're a punk rock band, you just write punk rock tracks. Well, we sort of got like a really up-tempo single. Then the second one's more of a sing-along song, but not quite as up-tempo. And then we got a few different ballads, which are piano ballads, which have a different complete vibe at all, which are quite somber and sad. Then we got the title track 1996, which is actually a quite happy song, which is quite weird for us. We don't really write happy music. And I actually have my friend's girlfriend actually asked me one day, it's like, why don't you write any happy songs? Can you show me a happy song? And I really struggled. I couldn't find one for her. So I think that 1996 and even Waiting, even though it's not technically happy, we're sort of trying to be a bit more positive. And then we got one song called Let You Down, which is a bit of a bluesy song. It's like a sort of Western blues vibe to it. But we've sort of also got an indie rock take on it. And I think that covers all the tracks. And actually one more, Forgetting About You, which is a pretty straight ahead piano ballad as well. So
Yeah, it's nice to have that variety, I think. It shows what you do. But do you have in that a favorite kind of style of or feel of song that you enjoy doing the most?
I guess it goes through different. I go through different time periods. So when I first started writing for Poison Oak, I was writing a lot of piano ballads because that's what I was feeling. And I think the piano is more of a somber instrument. And I guess at the time I was feeling a little bit down, so I sort of resonated with that. And I wrote about 10 or 15 different piano ballads, and I had to scrap some of them because some of them were literally the same the same chord progression. I was kept coming back to the same chord progression. But and then now I'm kind of moving on to more, I guess, uplifting music. I'm sort of, I guess, I don't really write to a style. I don't go, I like this style, so I'm going to write to it. I sort of write to what I'm experiencing in life. So at the moment, being in work, I'm experiencing, like, obviously being at the workplace for quite a few years, you sort of get involved in the politics of that and you sort of see how, I guess, from that, how society works. I'm writing a lot of songs like that. I'm writing a lot of songs about just general life experiences like that. And it's sort of like, also I've started writing music about, I guess, well, when you work a 9 to 5 job, there's sort of this expectation that you have to have a white picket fence, you have to have kids, you have a dog, have family. So I started to write a lot about that as well. So I've sort of shifted from, I guess, emotional upheaval to, I guess, politics and the drag of day-to-day life at the moment. And the 12 songs we have now are mainly about, I guess, relationships, and some of them are about the working life. But I think the next bunch of releases after this will be a bit more, maybe even political and work related. Yeah. So I guess it really depends on what, for myself, I'm going through. But at the moment, Ray, the other guitarist, he's writing a lot of music as well, which is really good. So there's a lot more collaboration at the moment. And I guess, yeah. So I guess our topics aren't on style, or we're not. It's more on what we're experiencing ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great because that's your story.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that Ray is doing some songwriting as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yourself and Ray are the predominant, I guess, songwriters for the band. Is there anybody else that's been involved in that process, whether it be with the writing or the releasing or any of that process along with you?
We all write our own sort of musical parts, right? So I'll write something, and then Ray will write some parts, or sometimes someone will write a part for someone else. And go, oh, I really like this part of writer. And it's mainly me, Russell, and Ray. Chris has also been getting involved a lot with his sort of own drum parts. Like, he's starting to add, like, oh, I've been working on this part. What do you think of this? What do you think of this? Because for me, when I write songs, I also like the drums to be very intricate, like change all the time, like this. And when he first joined the band, I guess he hadn't experienced that, but now he's sort of taking that on board, and he brings out a lot of different drum ideas, which are really cool. For the lyrics, it's mainly I might write mainly the lyrics, or someone might write a canvas for a song. Go, I want this song to be about this. Well, okay, I'll try, and then I'll write to it. But if I have no experience in what they say, I can't write about it. But most of the time I do. So me and Ray, well, Ray comes up with a lot of guitar. He has really catchy riffs. Like, he takes his time to write something, but he always spends a lot of time and focus on writing a really a melodic line that really focuses, really accentuates the song. It really fits really well, which is really good. And I guess I would call Lockie's quite a versatile musician. So he just fits in and jumps on the part, like plays this with this and this. But I guess we all sort of have say for where we do photos, but in the end, I guess we don't really care much about that stuff. And it's sort of just, I guess, other people jumping on board have sort of made that happen, while we still put a lot of focus on the music. Yeah.
Oh, great. Have there been any real significant challenges that you've experienced along the way? I know you started sort of with that casual kind of feel, but I guess as it's gotten more serious, is there anything that maybe you would change next time?
I don't. I think. Well, I think the biggest challenge one time when we had to write the song was rehearsing too much during the week, because I think we started rehearsing one week like 3 times in one week, so we made sure the songs were right to record. But we felt quite drained, so we didn't rehearse the next week when we started recording. And what I've learned is that in the bands I've played in previously, it doesn't matter how many times you rehearse. If you don't want to do it, that's the problem. Like, I don't think, and I think the thing that keeps it, and I think the thing that will keep this band keep going, is that it is casual. Even if it becomes big, which is a rare possibility, I think the fact that it's casual and little expectations makes it everyone want to be there and have their time. And I remember being in bands before this where we rehearsed 3 times a week or whatever, and it became to a point where it was just so draining that even though the music was really good and it was doing well, you just didn't want to do it. And I think for me, that's the key. Like, the key is to have well, you got to have a little bit of expectations, but the key is to not care what anyone thinks. Just, do what makes it easy and happy for you. And I think that's the essential key.
Oh, excellent. So if all the stars aligned for you, where would you ultimately like to get as a band?
I like to play shows where we could, I guess, sell out, like to maybe, I don't know, a certain capacity where we could have people who want to come see it, like pay money to come see us. That'd be awesome. Like, doesn't you like just put a show on and have a full capacity venue, do a tour where there's full capacity venues? That'd be great. Like, I think that's it. Well, yeah, that's it now, I guess. When I first started, it was getting 3 blokes in the same room or 5 blokes in the same room together. Like, that was my that was my goal to be achieved. So like, I think I've gotten past that goal. We've gotten past that goal, and so yeah, like, I think that would be pretty cool if we could do that. But for me, it's not about being able to. I think I'll always be a teacher. Like, I'll never quit my own job to do this, because I think I need that balance in life. Even if we were selling out 2,000 or 1,000 capacity venues, I'll never leave my job, or it's not something where I'm gonna try and make it take over another part of my life. It's always, I'll have that part and I'll have this part.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So for the future, I know that you've got a whole lineup of plans in regards to releases, but sort of longer term, beyond what you've got planned currently, what does the future look like for Poison Oak?
We're working on even more songs. So I think after this release, after some time, we might release an album as well, because we've got nearly 2 albums worth of material. We keep writing. Actually, even yesterday when we were rehearsing, Russell, the bass player, is like, "Guys, I think we got to stop writing songs because we've just got too many songs now, and we just got to focus on the ones we've got and start playing a lot of shows. I think we've got to start playing around Townsville, and maybe think about touring. We'll have to work that out, obviously, in school holidays or when people can have leave. So everything has to be quite organized in the future, because obviously we can't just go, oh, next week we're going to go play these 5 shows on the East Coast, because we can't do that, because some of us have families, some of us have kids. So we've got to be really quite organized. So after this next EP, I think we'll start working on playing a lot of gigs, playing a lot of shows, getting hopefully like people in Australia, getting the attention of people in Australia through playing gigs, through playing festivals, hopefully, and then we'll work on our next release, which will be an album, I'll say. Yeah.
Excellent. And so from all of this experience, what sort of advice would you give to any aspiring artists that might be watching this back?
I would say just play music to play music. I think I had someone ask me a question a while back when I was playing music in Brisbane, when I sort of had enough of it, and my mum had a friend who had a son, and one of their questions was like, "Oh, how do you crack the music industry?" And I was like, "There's your problem right there. If you're going in to crack the industry, then why are you playing music in the first place? Like, it defeats the purpose, because the music is for having fun, and if you're not having fun, then stop doing it." So
Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything else before we finish up? Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
just so this Friday, Waiting, our next single's coming out. So if you want to go along to our website, or you go to Spotify or wherever, check it out. Let us know how it is, and it'll be absolutely awesome.
Fantastic. And just finally, is there, you mentioned a little bit then, but where can people find your music and your profiles and your social media?
So we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on also a lot of other like Amazon and many other music stores that I don't even know about. I don't even know because I don't really take control of that part. But so if you just type in Poison Oak, North Queensland into a search engine, it will come up. And we're also on Triple J on Earth as well. So check it out there as well. So we're also starting to get played on quite a few community radio stations. So tune into your community radio stations. If it's SNL, I think it's SNLC in Melbourne or Triple Z in Brisbane, we might hear us.
Perfect. And there is also, Poison Oak played for a Sounds on the Couch show, and they've got a profile at www.soundsonthecouch.com as well. So you can find all the links in that profile too. So lots of options. But thank you so much for joining us, James. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you today.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. No, it was great coming to talk.
Thank you.